on CNN.
Peace talks are at an impasse, and the violence is escalating in the war with Iran. Iran's military launched a wave of missile and drone strikes overnight, targeted the Strait of Hormuz, Kuwait, Bahrain. The U.S. countered with strikes on several targets along Iran's coastline. Let's bring in now Behnam Ben Taleblu. He's the senior director of the Iran program at the Foundation for Defense of Democracies. Thank you so much for being back. We have heard from the principals in this war over the last 24 hours. I'm going to play a lot of the sound. I want you to give us the context around it. Let's start with President Trump, who spoke with NBC News. And Kristen Welker asked him if the Iranians are so desperate to reach a deal, as he has said they are for months, why have they not reached one? Here's what the president said.
I think they can't believe they're in the situation where they've been virtually decapitated.
But if they're so desperate, Mr. President, why haven't they said yes to the terms you're proposing?
Strong, they're proud. There are things they never thought they'd be doing that they're going to have to do. They've got no choice.
So what do you think of that? The president says that this is just a delayed resignation to the inevitable.
Well, great to be with you. That seems to be the million-dollar question, but forgive me, that seems to also misunderstand elements of Iran's strategy. Yes, the regime is hubristic and proud, but more importantly, it's ideological, and it's keen to avoid giving America, not just American presidents, but this American president, a victory image, particularly after not one but two rounds of overt military action against the Islamic Republic. There's that, but then there's also the larger strategy here at play, and that strategy is to force America either into a bad deal that kind of guarantees more Iranian access to cash, or a conflict that doesn't guarantee a military and political outcome that America and or Israel will be willing to pay for. So you may remember back in Trump term one, Trump administration officials talked about putting Iran to the choice. The Iranian strategy here, by exploiting the gray zone, by continuing low-intensity fighting during the ceasefire, and also saying yes, no, and maybe to talks all at the same time, is designed to put America to the choice and see what we'll want versus what we will settle for.
All right, so you pointed out the military element and the cash element that Iran is forcing here. Our Fred Pleitgen had an exclusive interview with the military advisor to the Ayatollah Mustafa Khamenei, and I want to play for you first on the fighting. Here's what he said could happen if this blockade continues.
If the war continues and the naval blockade is not lifted, we will drag the war to the Indian Ocean, the Bab el-Mandeb Strait, the Red Sea, and the Mediterranean, and we will give another dimension to the war by attacking these other American bases that we have been attacking so far.
And so what do you know about the capabilities of the Iranians to make good on that threat?
Well, certainly the Islamic Republic has proven an ability to export maritime harassment and terrorism. You know, when the Houthis were doing that a few years ago, that was actually because they had learned from their patron and were equipped from weapons from their patron, the Islamic Republic of Iran, the ability to go after these ships, these vessels, and to go after a strategic choke point in the Red Sea and the Bab el-Mandeb, as we saw the Houthis do, their partners on the southern part of the Arabian Peninsula, just a few years back. Now, that's a sword of Damocles the regime is dangling over not just the Arab states, not just over the West, but over the international economy. And in my view, that only heightens the choice before the Trump administration. And here, actually, we have other tools, not just military, but economic tools against the regime that the administration should consider. The latest data, particularly for the month of May, which is when the full blockade has been in effect, meaning start to finish the whole month, was Iran was only able to export 64,000 barrels of oil per day, meaning only four smaller vessels got past the U.S. blockade. When the regime's, major parts of its economy are reliant on hydrocarbons and petrochemical product sales, and they can only export up to 64,000 barrels per day, when just back in February, before the conflict began, they were exporting over 2.1 million barrels of oil per day, they are facing bankruptcy, and that's precisely why they're going to be lashing out and threatening this wider circle of escalation.
Yeah. And, of course, as we reported, that the Iranians are demanding a $24 billion release of their assets, $12 billion ahead of the signing and $12 billion later. Control room, let's go to the Christian Amanpour exclusive interview with the Lebanese President Joseph Aoun. And this is what he said about the accusations, strong accusations, about the IRGC and their influence on what's happening in Lebanon. Let's watch.
Our people being killed, our houses being destroyed. They are using Lebanon as a bargaining chip in their negotiation with the United States. It's unacceptable.
Now, the IRGC denies that. Is he right? You've written that the IRGC is feeling emboldened as it relates to Lebanon.
Certainly feeling emboldened as it relates to Lebanon and their proxy, their Hezbollah, which is their most powerful proxy and still the one that they're hoping to recreate and rebuild, hoping that America and Israel tire of this conflict. But no, the Lebanese president you mentioned right now is absolutely right, 110% right. The Islamic Republic of Iran's entire military strategy is basically reliant on working by, with, and through downtrodden and dispossessed persons in the heartland of the Arab and Muslim world to continue its fighting for it. And unfortunately, Lebanon, a proud country, has been one of the main theaters that has been sacrificed in this larger decades-long war against Israel, America, and the West. And certainly Lebanese citizenry and even Lebanese Shia have been paying a major price for being this battleground. The question is, what kind of capacity does the Lebanese state have to push back? Lebanese society, what can they do to push back? And what can and can't America and Israel do to help them? And this is why it's critical to know who is your friend and who is your ally versus who is a fair weather friend and who is your adversary. Because look at what the Islamic Republic of Iran is doing. Its most powerful proxy in Lebanon got clobbered by Israel. And yet still, as much as this regime needs cash, and you mentioned the billions that it wants and is trying to get from America, it is risking losing all of that just to stand by its partner and proxy, Hezbollah. The question is, where are we when it comes to standing with our partners?
Behnam Ben Taleblu, always good to have the analysis. Thank you.
Thank you.